It's on full display. Davis with the one-handed block. Oh, Davis! A corkscrew jam. Up high and down hard. A major rack attack. The razzle-dazzle. Holy cow! What an incredible play by Anthony Davis.
He has so many weapons to work with. Ooh. Remember, the Pelicans didn't have a first-round draft pick in June. They did do some work later in the summer. The LeBron James deal in L.A. meant the Lakers couldn't keep Julius Randle. He signs for 2 years in New Orleans. The Pelicans also picked up Jahlil Okafor, the third overall pick in 2015, gets a fresh start in the Big Easy. Randle backs up Nikola Mirotic, or at least we have that on the depth chart at the moment. Two guys who were not on the roster this time last year. What does that mean for a full season under Alvin Gentry this time around?
First of all, playing in the Western Conference, you're going to need shooting, outside shooting, especially at the power forward position, which is the stretch forward position in this case with Mirotic. Second, I think they got the steal of free agency in Julius Randle, signed him to a 2-year deal, not that big contract.
Not a huge deal, no.
But Julius Randle, to his defense, has some room to work because I think it's a player option after this year. But I think just getting those two guys and having them battle it out, it might be nice for Mirotic on start. And Julius will get the call to start at power forward. But I like him. You talk about a guy that if Anthony Davis could find other teams and be another playmaker on the floor, I know for a fact that Julius Randle is one of those guys that can make that play or make that hockey assist to get other teammates involved.
Yeah, Randle and Mirotic are very different types of players, and without Davis on the floor, certainly could play together. Randle likes to handle it in the open floor, and obviously Mirotic is a stretch guy.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see some lineups where the three of them are on the floor at times, just depending on matchups. And it's really going to be about what team finishes for Alvin Gentry in that group. And I think Randle is going to be critical. I do think of him more as a sixth man because he's like an instant offense guy. And with this roster now, I think he becomes critical for them. I mean, I think he's a guy that they're going to need to get 15, 16 points a night. But he can also be a playmaker. He's going to have to rebound. But I think ultimately for this team to sustain what we saw them get last year, I really think how they utilize Anthony Davis is going to be important. Not so much the scoring and the rebounding and defense, but I think he's got to become more of a playmaker on this team because he's one of the as unique an offensive players we have in the league because you can use him in so many areas. You know, you got to double him on the block.
Right.
He's a guy that only averaged 2 assists last year because I don't think he focused more on scoring because he had Rondo and he had Drew as facilitators. And he also had DeMarcus, who's a guy that gets around 4 or 5 assists a game. I think that's an area, if I'm Alvin Gentry, yeah, we got to still try to play fast, but I need you to make others better. And I think you're going to see a lot of times, let's have Drew be the big fella. You're going to see when they go post with him, he's going to have to learn that when he gets that catch, let's say you're up as a defender, when he gets that catch and you go to double, he's going to have to be able to make these passes when guys are cutting for layups. He's going to have to make the corner opposite pass across court, hitting a three-point shooting because they're going to give him spacing. The other thing I think you'll see him potentially, he'll be a guy that can run pick and rolls. You're going to see him in 4 or 5 pick and rolls where he's with a big
ball handler,
as a ball handler. A lot of times what you'll do, let's say I'm going to be him, you're going to be weak side. Okay. You're guard me. They'll a lot of times when he gets that pass here, he'll come over and set that screen. Man, that is going to be hard to guard because he can really shoot it. He's got that pocket pass, but again, his ability to find that shooting outside, the three-point shooting with Mirotic, Etwan Moore, terrific shooter of the basketball as well. So they got guys that can shoot it. I just really think you're going to see him become more of a playmaker with this group. We saw Kevin Durant when he went to Golden State, he got better defensively, blocking shots, rebound. I think that's what's got to happen for Anthony Davis. As great as he is, he's got to do more. He's got to be a guy, if he goes to 4 or 5 assists a game with what he's doing, then this team's got a chance, I think, to get back to where they were a season ago with the new additions. But that's got to happen in my estimation.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony Davis is a catch-and-score basketball player up until this point. I mean, having the likes of Drew Holiday, Rajon Rondo throughout his career, I mean, it was just basically catch, finish, catch, shoot. Now, if you don't have that going on, and now you're getting double teamed, you're going to have to be that playmaker. You're going to have to jump up from 2 assists to 4 assists to 5 assists, maybe a triple-double this season in one of these games. But to your fact and what you brought up, that's a great point. I think we need to see him be more of a facilitator sometime than just a scorer.
Some more Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
More Anthony Davis.
Bottom
We
line.
need more. We need more.
Already great player. Now more moving forward. We've got more as well on the Pelicans. They're up to this summer. And we'll hear from the starters when we come back. Greatest players spent their summers tormenting small children at camps. Anthony Davis.
It's been going on.
No
It's documented now. Video.
Please, the stare down afterward. Yeah, that's right. I blocked a 9-year-old shot.
Get
To
that
the
shot out of
starters
here.
for more on Davis and the Pels.
Skeets and Lee here from the starters with your next point about the Pelicans. It's in the form of a true or false question. Lee, true or false, the Pelicans will be better without DeMarcus Cousins?
Surprisingly true. Really, because when he went down, I think a lot of us thought that the Pelicans' wheels were going to fall off and they were going to scrap to make the playoffs, but they actually got really good. And then, of course, they upset the Portland Trailblazers in the first round of the playoffs and played well against the Golden State Warriors. It wasn't just all Anthony Davis. Drew Holiday was fantastic. Mirotic when he
Rondo,
came over.
I know you don't like Rondo. He was great.
Rondo was great, but he's not there anymore, of
Yep.
course. So I think the Pelicans are going to be an improved team. Davis is absolutely going to be in the conversation for MVP all season long as well. I think he realised playing along DeMarcus Cousins that he can actually dominate the game a little bit more than he had been doing prior to that point. And I think that's part of the reason why we saw the Pelicans finish the season so strong.
I'm not sure this is fair to Cousins, though, because the Pelicans were solid when he was healthy. And they were
Yep.
27 and 21. You're right. They caught fire down the stretch. They were 21 and 13. Mirotic just seemed to pair a little more nicely with Davis because he had a little bit of shooting in there. And then
Yep.
Rondo and Drew were amazing. But, you know, I'm excited to see, like, Julius Randle coming in. Elfrid
Yes.
Payton now has to be a bit of a point guard for them. If Drew moves to the 2 when they play together. There's some question marks here with this team, but I don't think it's all on Cousins. I don't blame him.
No, I don't blame him either.
For them getting good all of a sudden.
But it's like the silver lining there to the cloud. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, we thought it was going to be bad, and it ended up turning out pretty well. And I think the Pelicans management looked at that and thought, we don't want to invest a huge contract either in a guy coming off an Achilles injury,
Right.
a big guy especially like that. So I think the Pelicans probably felt maybe our best shot is to have Davis there as our focal point and then just surround him with a lot of those other role players. You mentioned Julius Randle. I think he actually could be a nice fit alongside him there as well. Almost like a Lamar Odom type of player back in his Lakers prime day. So I think they will be better though. I think Davis especially is going to be MVP in top 2 or 3 for sure.
Let's hear from you guys. Let us know on Twitter, #thestarters. Will the Pelicans be better now that they don't have Cousins? He'll be better. He's on the Warriors. He's going to win a title.
All right, guys, thank you much. When the regular season is said and done, where will the Pels land in the standings? GA and Drew make their best guesses when we come back. The Pelicans open things up October 17th against the Rockets. You'll see that game on ESPN, one of 13 national TV games for them. Late in the season, a 5-game homestand could determine either seeding or whether they make it into the postseason. And late hosts the Warriors on April 9th. It's the Warriors' only visit to New Orleans, so unless they meet in the playoffs, that's potentially the only time DeMarcus Cousins comes back to play on the floor in New Orleans. I wonder if he gets a video. He only played 65 games there.
Of course he gets a video. If he doesn't,
You got it.
For 65 games, that's video.
It's cost effective.
True, it doesn't cost.
It ain't going to cost them much. They can put one up.
All right, last season, 48 wins was enough to land the 6th seed before the upset of the Blazers. This year, we're setting the bar at 45 and a half. Will they win more or fewer games than 45 and a half? That half game is tricky, I know.
I'm going to say over.
Okay.
I think they'll get over. I do think that, Julius Randle is going to have a significant impact. And the guy we didn't talk a lot about, Jahlil Okafor, this is, I think, an opportunity for him to kind of reestablish himself as an NBA player.
May have to establish himself.
It didn't really work out when he went over to Brooklyn last year. I know he's worked really hard. And if it can happen, I think with Alvin Gentry, it can happen. But I do think a lot of things have to happen in order for this group to get there. But Anthony Davis is such a special talent that I think they get above 45 and a half.
I'm going to say less. And the reason why I'm going to say less is because of the blow of Rondo. I mean, just having that momentum, having that culture, having that taste of success lingering the end of the season, and now you come back and you don't have that guy. And we talked earlier about how much Alvin Gentry praised Rondo and of helping him facilitate out there and being an extension of the coach. And just not having that this year, I'm going to say it's a rebuilding year for them. They look good on paper, but I don't know if they're good enough to make it to the playoffs, and I'm going to say less.
Sometimes you don't get a true picture of a player when he plays for bad teams. Maybe that's been the case with Elfrid Payton, and maybe it changes with a little better team in New Orleans. We're going to find out this season. More importantly, does this team make the playoffs? Lakers likely to make the playoffs. Most everybody has Denver moving up into the top 8. There's some other teams in flux, obviously. Where do the Pelicans fit?
I think it's going to be a challenge. I think because I said they get to 46, 47, that means they make it. But it's going to be a challenge. And we also have to factor in Anthony Davis's health.
Right.
You know, he's had issues in the past. Is he going to be able to not only carry more of a burden, but then also physically be able to carry that burden as well? So it's going to be a challenge for that group, no doubt about it. But I do believe in that talent of Anthony Davis.
Well, if Anthony Davis is going to have an MVP season, they almost certainly have to be in the